I'm probably going to piss some people off with this one. Hi squad, welcome/welcome back, and dog, bless you. I'm just going to get right to it today, but before I do, no, this is not about a specific individual, but I would be lying if I said that a few people didn't come to mind. Regardless, if you end up watching this and feeling attacked, maybe before you get salty with me, it would be a really good idea to ask yourself, why? Why do you feel that way? Why does it feel personal? I put a fair amount of effort into being kind and compassionate in how I communicate because, like I've said before, it really does nothing for me to make you feel bad. My goal here is to put a little bit more kindness and understanding into the world and encourage other people to do the same. So that's the focus. Those are my intentions. In my usual fashion, I'm going to start with a question, this time specifically for my cis viewers. Which do you do more? And be really honest here. Talking with trans people about trans issues and trans experiences, or talking about trans people? That is, can you say you've had the same number of long, elaborate conversations about trans rights with trans folks as you have with cis folks? Or just, on a platform? And if you ask yourself this question and find that you can't actually say that you spend the majority of your trans-focused time actually engaged with trans people, why? And is that a good look? Like, are you comfortable with that? Now, don't get me wrong, I feel like a fair amount of this probably goes back to not wanting to put emotional labor on us, and that is appreciated. It is really good to be mindful of that. But a lot of us are out here having the conversations and already putting that work in and are willing to do that emotional labor for the people who sincerely want to listen. But you kind of keep missing us, so at a certain point, it kind of looks like the missing component is you sincerely wanting to listen. And herein lies the problem. Trans rights and trans identities have become a huge talking point in the past few years, and this has a number of perks, but it also has a number of drawbacks, one of which I'm going to hone in on here. And that is how unbelievably frustrating it is to have an identity that everyone has an opinion on that they're all too ready to share, yet your opinion, your insider knowledge of what it's like to live with that identity is never sought, and oftentimes dismissed when it's offered. Now, most of us expect this from the right-wing talking head, conservative hate brigaders, like that's its own problem. Most of them are out here looking for blood, we know that already. Where it gets really disheartening, at least for me, is in the number of leftist creators who are out here talking about trans people like we're instruments to boost their image and platform before we're actual human beings that they should listen to. Now, on a personal level, this is just really rude and patronizing, but on a much larger scale, this contributes to the understanding of trans people as political instruments before we are human beings. Let me rephrase that. If you are a cis leftist creator and you spend more time talking about trans people than you do talking with trans people as human beings, you are contributing to our marginalization, even if that's not your intent. Whether you are using trans identities to induce fear or hatred, or using trans identities to be on the right side of a debate, you are still using trans identities. And I do think that you largely have good intentions here. Like, I'm not going to deny that some good has been accomplished with this. You've probably helped a lot of people understand when they otherwise wouldn't have, and that is commendable. But two things can be true at once, and if there is a way to accomplish the good that you're doing without the additional harm, why wouldn't you do that? Being engaged in de-radicalization does not give you a free pass on tokenism. If anything, it means you should be more wary of it, because you have taken on the task of imparting new information to replace the hatred. You have to make sure that the quality of information that you're putting out there is good, that the framing of the people you are defending is positive, healthy, and balanced. And how can you do that without the people in question? Now, does this mean you can never talk about trans issues? No. Of course not. But if you are not listening in on trans-led conversations and using the time on your platform that you put towards trans issues to host actual trans people, you are not the ally that you think you are. At that point, you're just another person using us for engagement, and now we have to parse those feelings of tokenism both in unsupportive spaces and supportive spaces. Now, I also can't speak for all trans people, despite being a trans person, but many of the ones that I have talked to, myself included, do feel this way, so I felt the need to reach out and say something. Again, this is not meant to scold you, but rather to urge you to consider what your goal is, because at a certain point you either need to just admit that all you care about is your view count and image, or begin taking steps to improve the work that you're doing. For this area specifically, one of the best things you can do is seek out trans people who are already sharing our perspectives. I highly recommend watching the content of those of us who make it, and just engaging with people in messages who are willing to have those conversations. This is a really healthy place to start, because viewing every engagement as potential new content for you to put out is a problem in and of itself. Try and challenge yourself to learn in a way where the end product is just a better understanding. If you do want to use your platform directly, you can feature or promote our work, and that way people can learn about it and learn about our perspectives directly from the source. Now, I do understand that the view count does matter. Engagement definitely matters. This is how a lot of people survive. So I'm not saying that, like, oh, well, you should not pay your bills so that you can do this other thing. No, like, you need to pay your bills. I understand that you have a job to do. So while trying to find that balance between boosting engagement and doing good, you can reach out to trans people and host us on your platform where we can directly interact with your audience. Not to debate our experiences, but just to hear about them in our own words. Because at the end of the day, we are not debatable. We exist whether people like it or not. And featuring this truth, demystifying it, normalizing it, that is going to do far more good for us than using us as argument fodder. That just feeds the combative atmosphere that surrounds us. It gives us yet another unpleasant thing to have to navigate in a world that already challenges us enough, and you are making that decision on our behalf. Quick little sidebar here for the cis people who are out there doing good work. Please keep it up, and thank you for your support. I wanted to bring this up because my next longer, more elaborate video is on neopronouns and xenogenders, and I almost made the very same mistake that I've talked about here. That is, I almost went into the discussion with nothing but my cursory knowledge as a binary trans man. I almost moved forward thinking that just existing alongside these identities as another trans person was sufficient to kind of fill in the blanks, but it's really not. It seems really obvious when you think about it, but when it comes to a specific identity, the experts that we defer to are the people with lived experience. Period. It is crucial to me that my voice be one of support and good information, and I can't claim that it is if I haven't even taken the time to listen to the experts on a given topic. We live in a world where we're encouraged to take political and intellectual stances on entire groups of people before we're ever told that maybe we should just listen to them and learn about their experiences. That's super weird. And don't come at me like, oh, well, should we listen to Nazis then? Because one, stop turning conversations about simply not being a jackass and being kind to people and respecting people into debates. And two, people who are out to cause harm are kind of their own category. That's a totally different conversation for a totally different day. Because in this conversation, the most harmful thing a person can do is potentially make you think about something a little bit differently. That shouldn't be a deterrent. In fact, we should be falling over each other to get at that information. Like, you're telling me you have the opportunity for a broader, stronger understanding of the world, and your response is, none for me. I'm good. That's really weird. It's really weird that anyone would feel that way. I'm gonna call it there for now. Tune in next time for a conversation about xenogenders and neopronouns. And if you are someone who has a xenogender or uses neopronouns and you would like to be featured or share your perspective, please reach out to me. My Twitter and Instagram information are down in the description section, so you can fire me a message there. If you made it to the end of this, it does mean a lot, and I hope it got you thinking or made you feel seen. So, yeah. Thanks for watching.